You see the slides on the left-hand side.
All right, let's just go straight to slideshow. I think it should remove that off there, hopefully. Okay. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Deneen Semino, and I am the director of a program called the College Advantage. I work for WSU Tech, and I am able to serve USD 259 schools in helping students complete their FAFSA and apply for college and apply for scholarships. But this evening, we are focused on a FAFSA presentation, and this is my information.
Hi, I wanna ask you if you could give me a couple minutes to translate.
Oh, sure.
It's also in Spanish, and I just wanna.
Oh, yes, they told me that was gonna happen, so I will try to be patient, and if I start talking, just give me the cut sign so you can translate.
Thank you.
101.
And if it's possible for everybody that is on the call, if you see in the bottom of the screen or on your phone, there should be a mute button, and you can kind of mute your microphone, and then we won't get that feedback. That would be great. The FAFSA I'm going to start with is the free application for federal student aid. And there is an 800 number. Quite often we do have students or parents with other children that have already tried to do a FAFSA, and there could be something that triggers a signal on the FAFSA stating that they can't proceed. Well, then you would need to call this number. But again, it is the free application for federal student aid, so it is a free process.
FAFSA es la aplicación gratis del gobierno para recibir becas. Ese es el número que puede marcar si necesita ayuda. Si tiene alguna estudiante que antes ha aplicado y no lo aceptaron, o si está aplicando por primera vez, ahí le pueden ayudar. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sí.
The first step in getting your FAFSA completed is the FSA ID. Every student and every parent needs to complete an FSA ID. So the FSA ID is available now, and we encourage all students to use a professional email address. Do not use your school email address because that does disappear after the final transcript upload. And if you do not have an email address, first name, last name, Yahoo, first name, last name, favorite number at Gmail, those are all free accounts. You will need to know your Social Security number to complete the FAFSA. So to get an FSA ID, every student, that is the first step, must have their social. It is now time to memorize your social, but I encourage all students to look at the social and see how their name and the number is on their social. And for example, my social has my first name, my middle initial, my last name. My children's Social Security card has their first name, their full middle name, and their last name. So you could be asked a question to please enter your name exactly as it is on your social. So we want to make sure you know what that looks like. That does not mean that you take the card and stick it in your wallet or your back pocket or in your backpack. That is definitely something that for security reasons, you do not want to take with you, but students do need to know their Social Security number.
Para completar la aplicación necesitan que hacer una cuenta. Ese es el enlace que es fsaid.ed.gov. Necesitarían un correo electrónico profesional, no pueden usar el de la escuela. Si no tienen uno, pueden crear uno. Necesitarían su seguro social. Si no tienen su seguro social, pueden poner ceros y se completaría así. También tienen que poner el nombre exacto como está en su seguro social. No está bien que lo pongan en su cartera o en su bolsa, que lo pueden perder, y es muy importante que no se pierda o que no lo roben. Nomás lo dejan en la casa, lo usan para llenar la aplicación y es todo lo que van a usar. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and I really want to encourage everybody to understand with the FAFSA, student must need an FSA ID, parent must need an FSA ID. So student is dependent upon the parent as long as they up to the age of 24. So if your student is married, then they would not be, you would not need parent information. If your student has a child that they provide for, they would not need parent information. And because we do serve a large population of at North High and other schools in 259, I like to give out factual information. So if a student has a social, and well, actually, I don't know if you want to translate that and then translate what I'm going to say next, because it's kind of going to be a little bit of it, information. Sorry.
Okay. El estudiante necesitaría una cuenta, igual que su papá. También los padres también necesitan una cuenta. Los dos necesitan una cuenta solamente si el estudiante no tiene, no vive, está casado o tiene dependes del mismo, de ellos mismos. Si ya son padres, no necesitan la otra cuenta de sus padres, solamente el del estudiante. O si están casados, también ya no necesitan otra cuenta de los padres, solamente el de ellos. Okay, go ahead.
And so information too also is when this information is going with the Federal Department of Education, and also then it ties in with your IRS with your tax returns. So they cannot share information with other departments. So there is some misinformation that travels to our students within our district in regards to Homeland Security and ICE and the sharing of information. That is illegal, and it does not happen. But if a parent does not have a social, but their child does have a social, we want you to understand when you get into the FAFSA, that means the student can get an FSA ID because they have a social. The parent would not be able to do that because they do not have a social. When they do the FAFSA, when it says enter parent information, enter social security number, it would be all zeros. So at no time does somebody enter a different number. If they do not have a social security number on a blue social security card, they enter all zeros. So you don't enter an ITIN number, you don't enter a work number, you enter all zeros if you do not have a social. So I want to make that clear because your student, if your student does have a social, they are still eligible for financial aid.
Si su estudiante tiene un seguro social y usted no, él todavía califica, su estudiante todavía califica, solamente tiene que poner 00 en la cuenta de los padres para poder seguir con el proceso, igual que con los estudiantes. No pongan número de ITN o número de trabajo. Nomás es 000 y la información no sería compartida con inmigración o con el gobierno, solamente es para la aplicación de FAFSA, que es para becas. Si tienen una pregunta, lo pueden poner en el chat para yo leerla y contestarla.
And so this is a picture of the Social Security card that I could find. It's an old one. The new ones are blue, usually all blue. But I want you to look and see that the number is 3 digits, 2 digits, 4 digits. So it has to be that. Any other numbers that are entered in will not be accepted. And the number one error on the FAFSA is making a mistake by 1 digit. So again, we need to know the actual number, because if it's off by 1 digit, you'll have to call that 800 number and it will freeze your FAFSA.
El número social tiene que estar correcto, tiene que ser exactamente como está en su tarjeta. Si está un número mal, va a congelar la aplicación y no va a poder seguir y va a tener que hablar y tratar de corregirlo. y sería más trabajo tratar de corregirlo que hacerlo bien la primera vez.
And the FAFSA determines how much financial aid a student would be eligible for.
La respuesta del FAFSA se determinará cuánta ayuda recibe el estudiante para la universidad.
When we look at federal student aid, so we're looking at free money for school, the FAFSA determines free money. The first set would be grants and scholarships, the Pell Grant for the school year cycle that the student is going to be attending college. So if this is a 2023 student, you're graduating in 2023, my numbers are wrong on that. It should say Pell Grant 2023-2024, that is the college year, has already been approved for $6,895 free dollars to go to college.
Este son el número de que ha sido aprobado para el año 2023 y 2024, que es el año que viene para sus hijos que van a ser seniors. Este es dinero que no necesitan que pagar, es dinero gratis que reciben para el gobierno.
And then also part of financial aid would be earned money. Earned money is work study. There is one question on the FAFSA that says, would you like to be considered for work study? We recommend all students check the box, yes, I would like to be considered for work study. That does not mean you have to work on a college campus, but it means if you want a job, usually the student with work study is going to get the job over a student that does not have work study because it is a federal fund to the college, so that they will help pay that hourly rate. You don't have to take a job on campus, but it is part of financial aid. So we recommend everybody says yes to work study. And then normally we talk about borrowed money, student loans. The number one debt problem in the country right now is student loan debt. So we want students to understand when you look at the cost of attendance of the school, how much does the school cost to go to? Do I qualify for a Pell Grant? Have I earned any scholarships, any additional grant? What is left? So when we look at that money, however much money is left to attend that school, whether it's $2,000 or $25,000, we want students to understand when you sign on the dotted line of a student loan, you enter a legal binding agreement and it can never be declared under bankruptcy and you will have to pay that money back.
Cuando aplican para un préstamo para estudios, ese dinero sí se tiene que pagar y nunca se va a poder decir que están en bancarrota o si se mueren tampoco, va a seguir a la línea hasta que esté pagado. Sí recomiendan que todos los estudiantes apliquen para estudiar y trabajo por estudio, y ese dinero sería pagado por el gobierno para pagar su escuela. El estudiante trabaja y le pagan para seguir con sus estudios. Will you be answering questions?
Yes, I think I am answering questions. I think I only have one or two more slides to go. So this I think is the second to last slide, but the FAFSA opens October 1st of 2022 for the 2023 class. So you can get your FSA ID now if that is something you want to get done, and then you'll be ready to do your FAFSA on October 1st. And we want everybody to understand, actually the number went up to 93% of students that complete the FAFSA will move on to some form of post-secondary education. So when we talk about post-secondary education, not everybody has to go to a 4-year college or even a 2-year college. I work at WSU Tech. We are a 2-year college. We should be the junior college of Sedgwick County or the community college of Sedgwick County. That's where we are based. But we also offer certification. So if I have a student that isn't sure what they want to do, we have an 8-week sheet metal class that you would take a training, a certification. If you have a Pell Grant, if you qualify for financial aid, it will help pay for that. And then you can have a job interview and get a job. We have 5,000 jobs open currently in Wichita, and we need skilled workers to do those jobs. So again, your FAFSA will open October 1st of 2022.
Para poder aplicar en FAFSA sería abierto el 1 de octubre del 2022. 93% de estudiantes que llenan la aplicación siguen con estudios después de la high school. Recomendamos que llenen la aplicación antes. Ahorita sería un buen tiempo para empezar. Ya para cuando se llegue octubre, ya nomás lo puedan mandar. Y los primeros estudiantes que mandaron la aplicación son los que están aceptados y reciben más dinero. El FAFSA no nomás es dinero para universidades de 4 años o de 2 años. También en WSU Tech tienen certificados, tienen clases de certificados y ofrecen, ahorita tienen 5,000 trabajos abiertos. Si su estudiante no sabe qué estudiar, puede agarrar un certificado y empezar a trabajar cuando se gradúe. Y ahorita el condado necesita muchos trabajadores que tengan esos requerimientos de ser certificados en la escuela y serían los primeros en ser aceptados a esos trabajos. Y también la FAFSA ayuda a pagar para esos certificados.
And again, it opens October 1st, but the sooner you do the FAFSA, the earlier the better, because if you qualify for a grant and you know what college you want to attend, the college also has grants. The state has grants. And those other additional grants outside of a Pell Grant are first come, first serve.
También hay otros programas que no solamente son de FAFSA, y para los Pell Grants que esos son primero que aplica, son los primeros que son aceptados y reciben el dinero.
And my last slide is about McKinney-Vento, homeless education. Many students will say to me—
Can I interrupt? I just want to offer clarification. I'm sorry, just really quick while we're still on FAFSA. Just to clarify, sometimes when you're applying for college grants or state level grants, they require you to have completed the FAFSA. So all of our students need to complete the FAFSA in October in order to have other opportunities for college funding.
Absolutely. And the district USD 259, if you are even remotely interested in a pass card, you have to have your FAFSA completed for a pass card. For many scholarship opportunities that are available, especially to our 259 students, they are tying that to FAFSA. They want FAFSA complete because we want to get you as much money as possible to move on to whether it's a certification, you want to be a CNA, you want to be a pilot, you want to go to a 2-year school, you want to be a nurse, you want to go to a 4-year school, you want to be an engineer. I don't ever tell a student what they need to do, but there are plenty of options and we want to get you as much money to do those things. And the first step is completing the FAFSA.
Ms. Semino, while we're talking about it just a little bit, can you just educate our parents just a little bit about the pass card?
Well, the pass card is for high school seniors that have most of their education completed and they're on target to graduate. And the district, I think each school sets out pretty much a pass card eligibility checklist. And I know North High on that checklist is completing FAFSA, being on target to graduate. And then normally what that means is you have availability in your day. So you would come to school for the morning and then you would have a pass card in the afternoon, or you would have a pass card in the morning and come to school in the afternoon. And we highly, highly recommend students work during those hours, or students take college classes. You could take CTE classes with WSU Tech for free while you're in high school. That is paid for by the state. Please reach out to your college counselor in your building. They know all about that. And also, if you are in high school and you know for sure you're going to go on to a college, say, I know I'm going to go to KU, that's where I want to go to school. it would be worthwhile looking at taking dual credit. Your college algebra, your Comp 1, your Comp 2, your speech or psychology is $80 a credit hour. Upon graduation, the average for KU, K-State, WSU is between $300 and $350 a credit hour for, again, Comp 1. So we want to help students take those classes while they're in high school and pay less money to do that.
Let me just intervene one more time, sorry, because we need to give a break for Alejandra to translate. Oh, that was a lot happening there. So let me go back, Alejandra, and we can just make sure our families know that the second most important part of FAFSA is so that they can then apply for other grants through other avenues, directly through the college or through the state.
Un requisito que se necesita para otras becas es tener el FAFSA completo. Para tener cualquier otro beca o préstamo o se llaman grants, también se necesita que llenar el FAFSA. Es un requisito que se necesita que completar para recibir de otro fuera del gobierno. También recomiendan que su estudiante tome, si están bien para graduarse y ya no tienen que tomar tantas clases el siguiente año, recomiendan que tomen 2 clases que cuentan para high school y también para la universidad, para no pagar $300 para la misma clase que pueden tomar en high school el siguiente año, y serían $80 para la misma clase, a comparado si se esperan hasta llegar a la universidad y pagar $300 por la misma clase. El siguiente año van a contar para los dos, va a contar para high school y para la universidad. También hay un permiso que les da permiso de ir a la high school en la mañana y también pueden ir a la universidad WWGU en la tarde. Así pueden completar los dos y poder recibir créditos universitarios por menos dinero. Okay, go ahead.
Well, you are awesome if you got all that in there. So I'm sorry, is there anything that I did talk about that maybe we need to repeat for you to cover? Because a pass card, just to make sure the students know, with the pass card that is from their school, they're going to communicate with their counselor or their CCC in regards to what the specific eligibility is for a student to get that.
Para poder recibir el permiso para ir para tener las 2 clases, tienen que hablar con su consular de la escuela y saber que sí están a punto de graduarse y no están reprobando clases ni nada, y también que califiquen para poder tomar las 2 clases al mismo tiempo. What were the other requirements for the pass card?
Well, so each school has their own, so it just, they would have to be on target to graduation. And so they have to talk to their counselor about that, but completing the FAFSA is part of the eligibility to getting a pass card.
Okay, para el permiso también se necesita que llenar el FAFSA. Y también a las escuelas son diferentes, pero hablando con su consular y cada uno le va a decir que se necesitan. Pero esos 2 sí son requeridos. Que tengan el FAFSA completo y que estén bien para graduarse.
And then I just want to include the McKinney-Vento homeless education. I deal with a lot of students, I deal with a lot of parents that will say, oh, I'm not living at home, I'm couch surfing. Couch surfing does not make you homeless. So you will still, even if you've moved out at 18 and gotten a job and you pay your rent, you are still considered by the government a dependent upon your parent. And you will need that parent information to complete the FAFSA. So you are dependent up to the age of 24, unless you are married or have a child that you support.
Is that a new, I'm sorry, Alejandra, excuse me. Is that a new policy?
Nope. that's been the policy. That's been the policy, and it is to 24 years of age. And we're trying to advocate because I've got students that they get nothing from their parents, and it just doesn't help them get their FAFSA done. Like, they won't give them the information. A lot of times the college, then, if they know where they're going to college, will reach out and try to help get that information. But yes, they are dependent upon the parent till the age of 24, unless they are married or have a child that they support.
Okay, thanks.
Para completar el FAFSA, si aunque su hijo no esté viviendo con usted o ellos no tengan una casa en donde vivan estable, todavía depende de sus papás. Sus papás necesitarían que llenar la aplicación, darles la información. Son dependes hasta la edad de 24 años y pueden recibir esa ayuda. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. And again, I have worked this year. I've had probably more students that are homeless and considered homeless. So if you have any questions, obviously the Gear Up group works with families. But if the student looks at me and says, I do not live with my biological parents, I do not live with my parents, I'm in court-ordered guardianship with an aunt, an uncle, a brother, a sister, that changes the FAFSA. So we need to know that information. I'm FERPA certified. I sign the paperwork. None of the information goes anywhere else. We just want the student to complete the FAFSA accurately so they can get through this process to, again, get them as much money for a certification or college.
Solamente si su estudiante ya es padre o si ya está casado es cuando ya no son dependes de los papás.
Okay, this is my information, and I also have some paperwork. So let me see if I can just pull it up, and then if there were, I'm trying to see if I can see the chat, if there's specific questions, and it looks like there's some hands raised, but I don't know if that's for me or not, but I will try to answer questions if we have time for that. Okay, let's see.
There's several questions in the chat. And then maybe we can let folks speak that are off, that are raising their hand if they want to come off mute. One question was, what if the student does not have a Social Security, but the father has one? And what if your parent is oh, sorry, go ahead, sorry.
Okay, I'm trying to scroll this up. So I don't know. I sent you those other sheets, but I'm not seeing them. That's not what I'm looking for. So when I'm screen sharing, are you just seeing me?
I see you and your desktop.
Okay.
It's the black desktop with WSU Tech.
All right, let me see if I stop share and I click it again and see if I can find those other pages, or at least let's go to, okay, let me go to the chat first. Okay, there it is. I've never worked with somebody that the parent has the social, but the child does not. So if the child is the one going to college, so that would be why they would need to do the FAFSA. If student does not have a social, but is wanting to go to college, and if they know what college they want to go to, they were going to reach out to the college admissions counselor specifically to say, do you have any migrant scholarships? Do you have anything for someone who does not have a social? If I'm in the DACA system, if I'm undocumented, it is very challenging, and we are trying to work around that and advocate for that, because I've got students that can't legally work, but they want to go to college and they've been here. So we are trying to help that situation. And for example, K-State, they are raising money for that situation. So, but the student would have to advocate and call. If they're going to go to K-State or wherever they go to college, they should make that call to the admissions person.
Una de las preguntas eran si el estudiante no tiene seguro, pero los padres sí. El estudiante necesitaría que hablar con la escuela que quiera ir y preguntarle si tienen becas para inmigrantes, para estudiantes con DACA, indocumentados, para poder seguir, seguir sus estudios.
And I'm seeing a couple questions in Spanish. So I don't know if you can translate. I don't know if Brenda has a question. She might not have a question. Samuel, I think I answered that question about the student does not have a social, but now if the student is a citizen and should have a social, you need to handle that through the Social Security office and get that for your student. So I don't know what situation they're in. Do you want to tell them that? And then
there was another question about
if parent is disabled, that should be a question on the FAFSA. So when you complete your FAFSA, it's going to ask for the student is going to go in and it's going to start with general student information, student's name, student's address, student social. Student's going to be a high school graduate. Student's going to be the first time in college. Would you like to be considered for work study? Yes. Males still, according to the federal law, must be registered with Social Security with the Social Service Department. It's going to ask that question. If a male is 18, they're going to register with the Social Services Department to be able to have access to the FAFSA. But no, they're not asking that question from the college side anymore. But according to the federal government, that is still something that needs to be done, and it is a question on your FAFSA. Then you will get to parent demographics. Do you want to translate that up to here, and then I'll go on?
Esa es una pregunta que sí preguntan en la aplicación. Solamente necesita que responderlo. Si tienen si tienen el seguro, pero no tienen la tarjeta, eso sería que hacer algo con la oficina de seguros.
And so then you're going to get over to the parent demographics part, and that's when parent needs their FSA ID. Now, if parent does not have a social, the student is going to complete all of that, and then they will print off the signature page, which most of the college counselors in West High and in North High know how to do that. So the student would need to talk to them. But when it asks parent information, it will ask a disability question. It will ask a couple other questions also in regards to income, if you get child support, if you receive disability. And so you answer every question as honestly as possible, and then it should record all of that, and then it will process all of that, and then it will respond and send an email that your FAFSA has been processed. The student can go in to see if they qualify for any grant money.
Todas las respuestas que ustedes pongan en la aplicación, ya sea de disabilidad o retiro o de su presupuesto que tengan en casa, ya les va a decir si son aceptados o no. There's another question on here that says, if they applied last year, but they didn't have an answer, would they have to apply again?
Where is that? Why is that not? If they applied last year, okay, so high school students, again, high school students cannot apply for FAFSA. You apply for FAFSA before you're going to college. So you have to be a senior that year. So if a junior applies, it will not matter, but you will apply for financial aid every year, possibly for 6 years to 12 semesters. So yes, you would reapply every October when it opens.
I'm sorry, Alejandra, I just want to clarify. When they're in high school next year, they will apply for FAFSA. So yes. This question where they said they applied last year and they didn't hear anything, they have to reapply in October.
Yes.
Si tienen que volver a aplicar cada año, este año tienen que aplicar cuando en octubre, que ya serían después que salen de la high school. Todos los estudiantes tienen que salir de la high school y aplicar. Por eso nomás les estamos dando la información para listar su aplicación para cuando se llegue en octubre ya la puedan mandar ya completa y tener el apoyo y la ayuda de la escuela cuando están en la escuela. Ya por cuando se llegue octubre y ya se graduaron, ya pueden mandar la aplicación.
I'm trying to find, I don't understand why it is not sharing.
There's another question on here. If the dad doesn't have a social security, but the mom does it matter? Do they both still apply or just the mom? Or
okay, so only one parent needs to do the FSA ID with the student. And so the parent that if parents are married and mom has a social and dad doesn't, then mom can complete the FSA ID. If parents are split, the parent on financial aid is the parent the student lives with 51% of the time or more. Doesn't matter what a judge says, doesn't matter who pays child support, it's who the student lives with. So if mom has a social, then mom would be parent one, complete the information, mom would get the FSA ID and sign the electronically, sign the FAFSA as the student signs it.
Solo se necesita un padre para llenar la aplicación. Si el estudiante vive con solamente uno, el que viva 51% más es el que es responsable para llenar esa aplicación. Si vive con los dos, solamente se necesita uno. Si tienes el seguro, entonces sería su mamá la que haría la aplicación.
Now I'm trying to share my screen 3. Is anybody seeing do you see anything on there?
Yes,
or are you only
we
seeing
see the checklist.
Okay.
The FAFSA ready checklist. That's perfect.
Okay,
and
so
Ms. Deneen's gonna get me these copies, so we'll make sure we have it for our students at our schools, respectively.
And I need to update my PowerPoint because I'll send that also, but that date was mixed up and I didn't notice it till tonight. But so for the FAFSA ready checklist, I give all students this paperwork. If your Gear Up directors are going to have this information so they can give it to all students, even electronically, but this is what you will need to complete the FAFSA. And again, it will ask questions. And I've been in many settings with many people like, oh, I don't remember when my parents got divorced, or you just need to know that stuff. If you're married, it's going to say, when did you get married? So you're going to need to know. But we look at the FSA ID for the student who is going to be going to college. So the 2023 Gear Up student is completing the FAFSA in October. You have to have an FSA ID to start. You are welcome to do that now. Your social security number. If you are not a citizen, your alien registration number. Your 2021 federal tax returns. So you're going to college in 2023. So it's the prior year. So if you as a student, if you work this year and you completed a tax return, you need your information if the student's working, but then if parents worked this year and completed the tax return. So you're going to need that information. Bank statements, record of investments. Basically, it's going to want to know if you've got a boatload of money in the bank, you got 10 grand in the bank, you're not going to probably qualify for a $6,000 Pell Grant. Most of the time that doesn't happen. Students I work with are like, Miss, I've got $27.15. So again, just giving you the information, records of untaxed income. So if you work, a job and you get, I think it's like a 1099 or something that you're not getting a paycheck that's coming in on a W-2, it comes in on a different form. They're going to need that information. The parent's date of birth, social security number, marital status, and date the parent was married, divorced, or widowed. And I'm in the process of getting these translated also to Spanish, and I will get those to you guys too. It's just, it hasn't happened yet, but we are in the middle of trying to get all that information out.
La oficina de Gear Up va a tener esta información en español. Es los requisitos que se necesitan para la FAFSA.
And Deneen, I just wanted to clarify one thing too before we do get off. We do have some of our early graduates that's on here as well. So that's where some of the questions were coming about because they're graduating early.
Okay. let me address early graduation. I need to know what that means. From the school district perspective, students are finishing early, but they're still walking in May, which you can still get the $80 reduced rate for college credits through May, and actually even in the summer after you graduate, and you can get the free career and tech ed CTE, excellent CTE training is free while you're in high school. So say you're graduating in December, but you walk in May, you can go take a free automotive class if that fits in your schedule. But if a student is graduating early and saying doing college this summer, the only reason you would have the FAFSA done is if you graduate this May and to take summer classes that are paid for.
So for clarification, they would still fill out the FAFSA in October.
Yes.
No matter if they're graduating early or not.
Right. Because they would, it's based on when they would be going to college.
Okay.
Now, if they're graduating in December and walking in December, which means they're not walking with their high school, they're just getting a diploma sent in the mail, and they're starting college in January, that is very rare and unique, and I don't see very many of those. And if that's the case, they want to definitely communicate with their college counselor and start their FAFSA early. But I haven't had any of that in the last 6 years. So, but that doesn't mean it's not happening.
No, we have students who are graduating as juniors. They're done next month. So she's the one that's saying she applied for FAFSA already this October that passed because she's done. She graduates high school next month.
So then she should have, so then her counselor probably told her if she's going to start college this summer or next fall, then if she's graduating next month, so she would be the class of 2022, then yes, she would complete her FAFSA now. Now, if she hasn't heard from them, depending what school she goes to, if she goes to North, Shawnita, just bring her in on a Thursday when I'm there with Ms. Schmeidler so we can figure it out. And then if not, if she goes to West, I know Ms. Barnes works with Ms. Lacey. I think it's Emma Lacey is their CCC. She should know how to look that up and help the student, of course. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to try to help them.
One other question was, would they apply with the same account or would they create a new one?
Okay, so you will use the username. If the student who's already applied is the one that's graduating early, she would go into her FAFSA using the same username and password. And that if she meets with me on a Thursday, that I would have her pull that up and then I could see what it says. Like, is it saying it's processed? If they haven't heard from them, is she in verification and she has to do a couple things and that's why it's being held up? That's what we want to know.
Si ya aplicaron y tienen que volver a aplicar, pueden usar la misma cuenta. El mismo cuenta que usaron para aplicar solamente lo va a tener que llenar la otra aplicación nueva, pero usando la misma cuenta.
And then,
and I was going to say, Ms. Deneen, I can also email that because everybody that's on tonight's call, I'll make sure we can email you these worksheets and checklists, but we'll also, like I said, have them printed off because when it is time, this is all the pre-work that you were speaking to. You can get this done now. That way, when October 1st hits, you're ready to go. And to the early graduates, some of the early graduates at West, very good point, have already received their financial aid packets because they applied to a college. Now you have to apply to the college to see the financial aid applied that you are asking for. And we have started to see a lot of those awards letters, and we do send them to their college and career counselor to kind of help them navigate their student account so they can see how much aid that they've gotten from their FAFSA and how much additional scholarships they might need to apply for on their own. Thank you again.
And that's awesome because, again, we all work together for student success and everybody does things a little bit differently, but we want the student and the parent to understand what a financial aid award letter looks like. So if they're including work study in there, you might not get that money if you don't have a job on campus. If they're including loans in there, I had parents come waving these letters to me going, we don't pay for anything. Well, a student loan you pay back. And when it's at 30, 40, 50 grand, we just want you to know exactly what's going on and how much you're responsible for. So when I share the screen now, do you see the College Advantage FSA ID worksheet? It's a different worksheet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
This worksheet is the first step, and this takes on average 7 minutes. And I designed this so a student, because you're going to use it up to 6 years and 12 semesters, to put your information in, or, you know, the reality is store it in notes in your phone if you have a lock on your phone or a code on your phone, because you're going to use it. But you're just going to go through email address, username. Again, you have to follow the rules for the username, 6 to 30 characters. Use a personal, avoid using personal identifiers. I have students all the time use their first name, their last name, their middle name. It won't take it. So don't use personal identifiers like your name or birth date. Step 3 is a password. Create a password. It tells you uppercase, lowercase, a number, and a special character. You have to follow the rules that the government sets for it to work. Step 4, profile. Enter your social security number, your birth date, your name as it is on the social security card. Enter your mailing address and phone number. Then you're going to have challenge questions. One of the reasons why I designed this is because the love of your life today, I know it's hard to believe, may not be the love of your life in 3 or 4 years. I did that on my bank, like my first boyfriend, and I looked at my dad and I was like, well, was that Mike? Like who was that? So we changed it to what's my mom's maiden name, because that stays the same. So again, you're going to look at that information. We just want to help you have access to it, start the process, be ready to roll by October, because the district is doing a big push, and we're going to partner up with CCCs and Gear Up and serve students the best we can.
I have a question. There was a follow-up question to one of them.
Okay.
And it was, if the working dad doesn't have the income, doesn't have the Social Security,
okay,
but the mom does have the social, but she's not working. Is it the same?
You would definitely want to use the mom because she has the social. So,
okay.
So that's what we want to do. You're going to use the parent that does have the social. It will probably ask for dad's information. And if dad is working here on an ITIN number, which is a work number, and they file a tax return, they're going to ask for that information, and mom can sign it because she has the social. But they're going to go through asking all of the factual information about parent income.
Para una de las preguntas, si van a tener que usar el padre que tiene el seguro social, aunque no esté trabajando, pero todavía va a poner la información del otro padre también. El FAFSA es procesado por el presupuesto de su familia. Entonces, el presupuesto de su familia va a determinar cuánto reciba su estudiante, cuánto ayuda le van a dar. Y esa aplicación ella lo recomienda llenarlo para que se recuerden lo que usan para la clave, para su número de usuario, las preguntas y respuestas que preguntan para la cuenta, para que no se les olviden, ya que la van a volver a usar año tras año. Ya las respuestas de un año no van a ser las mismas del otro, solamente es para que se recuerden, recuerden las respuestas de esas preguntas. Ella recomienda ponerlo en un lugar seguro donde tengan en su teléfono o en esa aplicación que ella hizo. Gear Up también va a tener eventos donde vamos a estar ayudando en persona a llenar las aplicaciones. Y la escuela también, en su consular, sí, pueden ir a la escuela y pedir ayuda a llenar la aplicación de FAFSA. También nosotros vamos a hacer eventos en la escuela para llenar esas aplicaciones.
I noticed another question in here. If the student is not sure about college, absolutely everybody should do the FAFSA. Every single student in USD 259 should apply to a college, whether they think they want to go or not, to have a backup plan for success ready to roll. WSU Tech has a free application. Butler County has a free application. Takes 10 minutes. But the FAFSA, if you complete the FAFSA and you qualify for $6,895 free dollars, most likely you're going to do something with that, whether that's a training or college algebra and Comp 1 and Gen Eds. We just want to support you getting all of this done so it's ready to go. If you don't use it, it doesn't hurt you. You still apply. So a lot of times students will want to wait till they're going to school, and they could miss out on additional grant money because it is based on first come, first serve for additional grant money. So that's why the district targets October 1st, the federal, the national push starts October 1st, and that's when it opens. And I really appreciate, Janice, your leadership and everything you're putting in here, and Joy and Shawnita. It is a great opportunity for us to partner with everybody. Does not matter to me where you go to school. We just want you to do something. You're way too valuable to do nothing. And when they're talking about having dates and times and things like that, if there's a way we can help, we're going to help serve, because we want to get students through this process so they can move on to great things.
Para los estudiantes que no saben lo que quieran estudiar, todavía les recomendamos que llenen la aplicación para que lo puedan mandar en octubre. Así pueden recibir ese dinero. Algo se va a poder hacer con ese dinero, aunque no sepan qué quieran estudiar o a cuál escuela vayan, pueden usarlo para sus clases generales, que son matemáticas, inglés. Esas clases todavía cuestan, y pueden usar ese dinero para tener esas clases ya cuando ellos sepan que quieran estudiar. O si quieren solamente recibir un certificado, eso ya serían estudios gratis, que serían pagados por FAFSA. Entonces sí se les recomendamos que lo llenen, aunque no quieran ir a la escuela. Muchos estudiantes se quieren esperar hasta que sepan que quieren estudiar. Pero eso no les recomendamos que ya lo llenen para que tengan ese dinero y hagan algo con eso. Son muy valiosos para no hacer nada. Pueden hacer muchas cosas, aunque no sepan qué quieran, pueden tratar esto, y si no les gusta, pueden tratar otra cosa.
Are there any other questions? Thank you so much for this opportunity to present, and I really appreciate working with Ms. Barnes and Ms. Phillips and Ms. Janice. Thank you so much.
Si hay una pregunta, pueden ahorita preguntar, si no quieren ponerlo en el chat.
Thank you. We appreciate your time tonight.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you to you too, Alejandra. Both of you are the real MVPs, talking, presenting, answering all these questions, keeping track of everybody and everyone. We really appreciate the both of you. And we appreciate all our parents. We want to let our Gear Up VIPs, I call you my VIPs because I feel like we've been with you for over 6 years now, some more, some less, but you are very important people to us. You're very important parents. So you are our Gear Up VIPs, and we want to make this easy experience for you. So anything that you need, just let us know. We will lay out the red carpet for you. I see in the chat, both of the links are Spanish. Okay, my bad. Let me exit out of here and see if we can get you the right links there. If you can, Mr. Luke Bell, I'm going to try and repost the link for you. I did the QR code and it worked for me, but let me try and make sure you get the right link. I apologize for that.
I do have a quick question really fast. I'm sorry.
Yes, please go ahead. Please ask questions.
Does a FAFSA ID ever expire? I went to college years ago and I should have one somewhere. So I didn't know.
It could possibly expire. So if you go into the FSA ID and put in your information and your social, and it pops up with this social is tied to an ID already, that means you're going to use that ID. If you do not know that ID, you will just go into FSA ID, and there's a, to the right, it will say manage my password, and it will just set you a reset if you send it to your email. Now, if it's like 10, 15 years old and you don't know your email, I think you can reset everything and have it sent to a new email address. But if it's that old, it could just let you go ahead and set up a new password. But usually it'll identify the social and say, oh, this is already linked to another this is already linked. So if a parent, I guess I didn't even cover this, sorry. If a parent has another child in college already, you already have your FSA ID if they've completed their FAFSA. So you don't need to do it again. Just your student that's in this Gear Up 2023 group would have to apply for theirs. And you would need that information to sign it.
So I will add to that you want to make sure you remember your FSA ID, because it really, it's a lot of work to get a new one. I'm just gonna be honest with you, it's a lot of work. So I would keep that somewhere safe, probably the same place you're keeping your social security card, which you should never take out with you in public unless it's for a specific purpose, because it isn't super easy to reset it. You gotta go through a whole thing. So definitely once you have those FSA IDs, keep them somewhere safe so that you don't have to go through that process.
Well, I just want to say I'm just excited about all the parents that we have on here today with all the information that was shared. Guys, we are at the home stretch. So, you know, I'm just excited to continue to grow with everyone and provide this information. If you happen to be like me and have any questions or concerns later, still feel free to email us. Our email is here. If you have any questions, you can also call us at the Gear Up office or email us at our numbers that we have posted here.
We still have a few questions coming in. So I don't know, Ms. Deneen or Janice, if you're able to answer some of the questions in the chat. Oh, she just did. Thank you.
Yeah, so FAFSA is annual. I'm sorry, Joy. FAFSA is annual. Every October, you have to reapply every October. Sorry, Joy, I apologize for interrupting.
And again, it's up to 6 years and 12 semesters, and sometimes those are in a row. Sometimes there's like a little separation, or a student leaves college to go work. So again, knowing that information, reapplying, and then going in to check it. I've worked with students that have gotten a FAFSA their freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and senior year were selected for verification, and they had to resubmit an IRS tax form. So we want to make sure we're checking that. We want to get through all students through the process that says, hey, congratulations, your FAFSA has been processed, and you know exactly what's going on with it. So we do want to get you to the finish line.
Les quiero agradecer a todos los papás que nos acompañaron esta noche. Si necesitan ayuda para llenar las aplicaciones, yo les mandé mi número con mi número de teléfono. Si necesitan preguntas, me pueden marcar a mí y podemos ir a la escuela y llenar esas aplicaciones. Vamos a tener eventos también en persona para llenar las aplicaciones. En la escuela pueden ir cuando puedan y llenar esas aplicaciones. Les quiero agradecer por apoyar a sus hijos y a nosotros. Y muchas gracias por acompañarnos.
And then Janice, I was just trying to clean up my boo-boo. I did the wrong survey link. So I really am sorry if I caused any confusion. I reposted the workshop post survey and the Gear Up survey for the year. So again, just a reminder, parents, please double check. I apologize for the confusion. Make sure, it's a lot of links in the chat, but make sure you're taking the workshop pre and post survey, and then there's a general Gear Up survey. We really need all of you all to complete that for us. We appreciate you. And then I'll let Ms. Wright share any reminders in order to get your incentive for joining us tonight. This is record numbers. I'm very happy. Thank you so much.
Si pueden llenar el enlace que está en la chat para poder llenar el cuestionario. Se los agradecemos mucho.
I'll just echo that. Thank you guys for joining us. Please just ensure that you're completing the post survey. I would save that, what I believe is titled Parent Post Survey, for after this, because it probably will take you about 15 minutes to complete. So parents who have completed the 3 surveys this evening will get an email from me. Honestly, it probably won't be until Monday or over the weekend. And that email will give you a link for where you can sign up to pick up your meals. Meals will be from 2 brothers. You will have to travel there yourself to pick it up, but it is family size meals. I believe it's a chicken and then sides. So look for that link from me in your email over the weekend, Monday at the latest.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I've been clicking on links and links and links and links. And I think you guys said there's 3 of them. I only saw a pre. That one was easy. The pre came out right. The post, I did it in Spanish and I did it in English, I think. And then, and then the other one that you guys are talking about, a gear up one, I don't see that one.
If you, I can repost it, but if you scroll all the way to the very top of the chat, you'll see a parent, it says parent post survey. And then there's a parent Spanish post survey. Yeah. That's the one that's going to take you a little bit longer to do. And that's not at all in regards to this meeting tonight. It's general questions over the whole school year for you.
Okay, there we go. Parent post survey from KU?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that one wasn't coming up. Got it.
Sorry, guys. It was a lot.
I appreciate you asking though, Miss Daisy, and making sure, because I was confusing myself. So I appreciate you getting us to.
Yes. Okay, guys, if we don't have any more questions, I apologize for going over. It was such great information. So thank you again very much. To our presenter and of course, Alejandro for translating. This is just the beginning, guys. We'll be having FAFSA sessions throughout the fall. So you're gonna hear a lot about this. We just wanna encourage you all who joined us tonight to get started on getting your FSA ID, because that's your first step. Once you have that, then you'll be ready for us in the fall. Go ahead and get those FAFSAs completed. If you guys have questions, your students can find us